So when I became a parent, I wanted to work out with Paul. Somehow, I'm trying to remember how, and then Clint knew from the Beachland what we were doing, and wanted to get involved somehow. And he actually went out with me to visit Paul a couple times. And then I think he got it in his head. I said, Clint, you could use somebody if you are willing to do this. So he went out and borrowed the money and got a lathe. And now he has 2 lathes.
And Dave Polster.
Yeah.
Who was that? He was a rat kid, wasn't he? Dude?
Yeah, I think he was, yeah.
I think they both were.
Yeah, Clint was in the program too as well. Yeah.
All right.
So yeah, I mean, but that was obviously very insular. We knew what the process was and what we could use, sort of thing. And we've got record stores, obviously. We've got great clubs. Other than, as we've often talked, the whole notion of trying to get the city branded as more of a music city or destination or industry or business center or whatever you want to call it. I mean, I still think that's doable and part of what you're working towards trying to get done.
So, with the download codes, where are they getting? Where are the files stored? People can download them. Is that provided by the band or?
No, we have a site, so we'll. Again, it depends if you get them through us.
Yeah.
We do the hosting.
You'll host
we have the codes generated, all that kind of stuff.
All right.
And that's an additional charge on top of the record stuff?
Yes, yeah. So generally, it's like for 500 records, I think it's $135. I think
For download codes.
Right. So we could actually do codes that are slightly less expensive that are just on a spreadsheet, which you would get. You can chop them up yourself. But these are ones that we print and cut. They're like business card size type things. Yeah.
And that includes the server storage space to
Right.
get to the sound.
Yeah.
So when you say it's $3 a record average, is that like everything? Is that like?
Yeah, well, that would be a 500 record run. Let me look at my figure again to make sure, because I wrote it down. The 7-inch and 12-inch. So yeah, 12-inch record, 500 black with jackets, $3.11.
Is that the average when you add in the cost of the I'm sorry, I'm forgetting the terms, the plating and the.
Oh, that includes everything. That's cutting, plating, test presses, 500 records, and jackets. Yeah.
Okay.
Would then your additional cost for unit on a reprint be lower, or would it be the same?
Well, a repress would be less,
Right.
assuming again that you still have your stampers still have life to them, and your labels, you have extra labels left, and that kind of thing. Yeah. And even if the stampers aren't good anymore, and you need new stampers are cheaper to make because, again, the lacquer's already been cut, the mother's already been made. You make stampers off the mother, so whereas a set of stampers with a mother is $280, a set of replacement stampers is $130. So, yeah, you're definitely looking at less money when you repress. Now, what this doesn't include, obviously, are things like, do you want to shrink wrap, or do you want poly bags, or that kind of thing. It's not, and they're not color records. Color records are more money. But to give you an idea, 7-inch records, no jackets, just in a sleeve. 500 black would be $1.94. With jackets, it's actually $2.99. So you're actually getting pretty close to
The 12-inch.
The 12-inch, which explains a lot. I think what's going on is we're seeing 12-inch just continually going up and up and up. And I think part of it too is it's just, I think it's my guess that it's easier to sell that 12-inch in some respects, just because there's more to it, than a 7-inch. I may be wrong about that, but we certainly aren't seeing now part of it is self-limiting. We have one 7-inch press, and we have one 180-gram press, so we can only take on so much anyways. But we do see 12-inch much more over the last several years, just growing at a much more rapid clip.
would think that a 7-inch would be even more genre specific. It's probably hipper to have a 7-inch with, like for example, a soul record.
Well, okay, yeah. I mean, there are. Yeah, there are. You're right. There are some definitely like soul stuff, punk stuff, where it's just part of the. It's
part of the vibe.
Yeah, right. And particularly with the soul stuff, they want the large hole, not the small hole. Of course, the large hole is completely. There's no reason for a large hole other than the old jukebox days with RCA. I think it was that.
Right. It's for the machine.
Yeah. So it's got no physical purpose. And they're kind of like, if you hear a bit of a antagonism against large holes, it's because we have to punch these large holes out. It's a pain in the ass. So. But yeah, and we don't charge anymore for it because it's the 7-inch record, so we have to do that other operation anyways. But yeah, usually they'll have a large hole with like some of the soul stuff. And, yeah.
If a band's gonna give a master to you, do they have to make like a separate master? Because like there's mastering for vinyl and then mastering for downloads.
Yeah, we encourage that. So if you have a CD that's a year old, let's say, and you put it in your CD player, and you have one that's 10 years old, put it in your CD player, same volume, you'll see the new ones a lot louder. It's this whole loudness wars thing that started even back years and years ago in the days of just radio and stuff. You want to make something loud coming out of the speakers to get people's attention. So what they've been doing is they compress the sound wave. It makes a square wave, which the physical limitations of vinyl are such that as you get towards the center of the record, it'll distort because vinyl can't handle that. So, and one way to, kind of interesting, I didn't know any of this stuff before, but if you take a record, a 12-inch record, kick an older record out, you'll see that often the sequencing was such that the more acoustic or less dynamic track was at the very end, and that's because of that phenomenon. And the more music you put on a side, the more apt that is to happen too as well. So I don't know if anybody's ever had or heard of Todd Rundgren's The Wizard, A True Star record is, I think, like 20. I mean, it's really long. It's one of the longer 12-inch records. And I always wondered why I had it, I bought it new when I was a kid, why it sounded so crappy. And it's like good songs, but I just noticed there was more noise on it than there should have been, and that's probably why. And so in any event, so the physical limitations of vinyl, we say, we prefer, if you're going to give us a sound file, that it's, some people are going analog chain the whole way through and do tapes and all that. Not many, but some. Most give us a digital file, and we encourage a 24-bit file, so it's higher resolution than a commercial CD, which is 16-bit. And that ideally it's mastered for vinyl, which means you leave a couple decibels of headroom on the low and the high end. The effect of that, though, is that you capture the nuances on the low and the high end that you don't capture when you compress the wave. So when you get into this whole subjective thing about what sounds better, I think it's not necessarily the medium, but how things are mastered with to begin with. Because I have a Shuggy Otis Inspiration, whatever, I can't remember what it was called, but great record. But anyway, I bought it on CD when it came out 10, 15 years ago, really liked it. And then we had the chance to press it when it came out on vinyl. I immediately thought, this sounds so much better to me. And I thought the CD sounded pretty good. I think that's probably why.
But that's maybe not something that a home recordist would know to do. I mean, are there specialized mastering engineers that deal with that?
Yeah, I mean, we have...
can you refer?
We have some folks that we refer people to on our website. Adam at Cauliflower, I don't know if you guys know Adam Booth or not. It's one of those guys, yeah. And we have a lot of text on our site about this whole issue and what you should do to prepare for a vinyl record, yeah.
Right.
So, hypothetically, if people people could figure out, like if we worked with Clay,
Mm-hmm.
and we got a better distribution system handled, and we're able to distribute nationally
Mm-hmm.
to record selling
Mhm.
places, be better for people across 1,000 if there was a way to distribute that. And then what would it cost per record be at 1,000, say?
I don't know the answer to that off the top of my head, other than it would be less than $3.11.
Two?
No, wouldn't be that cheap.
Wouldn't
though,
be that
either.
cheap?
No.
$2.50?
Probably more like that. Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, there is for example, jackets, 500 jackets, single pocket, full color, $575. 1,000 is $750. So it's just incrementally.
Half for the second 500.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You'd be better
Again,
off
you get
sitting on the jackets.
Well, yeah, and we have some customers do that. So they'll, you're familiar with how you gamble in the music business. So they're saying, okay, I think I'm gonna repress this. I'm pretty sure we're gonna, but I'm not positive. So I'm gonna order 1,000 jackets, and I'm gonna do a 500 run. And then, when they repress times come, we already have the jackets, and they're less expensive. So it really comes down to you knowing your fan base, how many you think you can move. Even with distribution, it's only as good as the publicity and marketing you get behind it. Distro doesn't do that, for you. I mean, they just move the product for you. So, I mean, they'll talk about stuff, but they're not the drivers of that sort of thing. So, you really have to think hard about how am I going to get this record publicized and get some buzz going about it, that kind of thing. There are a couple of, you may be familiar with them, I subscribe to a couple of, get emails from these sites every day. One's Digital Music News, if you've ever heard of that or not. If not, I'd encourage you to subscribe to that. They have a guy in particular there who's a musician who talks a lot about the economics of touring and that sort of thing. And another is a Music Think Tank. And again, they talk about Music Think Tank just had a big article on using social media to publicize your releases and that sort of thing. Both those are good.
Sorry, you said Music Think Tank?
Music Think Tank, yeah. Yeah, because we offer distribution on our site, and we use Clay, but again, some stuff moves real well and some doesn't,
Right. Yeah, he made that point really strongly.
Yeah.
I can only do the physical. You have to make the demand, create the demand for your product.
Right.
You
Yeah.
can only do so much.
Yeah.
And that's always a big question.
Yeah.
How do you get exposure on blogs and get your stuff written up in Pitchfork and
Right.
stuff like that? A lot of it, I think, could be more the power of networking, so that if we were creating, more of a scene here,
Yeah,
where
right.
there was kind of this co-op thing that I'm talking about,
Right.
where there's shared, like one person, it's always the publicity person who has a relationship.
Yeah.
So if you had somebody that had some ability to communicate and get to those people.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I mean, we've, I don't know if you guys are familiar with St. Paul and the Broken Bones at all. If you've ever heard of that. We pressed their record. They only have one record so far. We pressed it, I want to say, a year and a half ago. We repressed that record. We're doing it again today, probably 10 times already. And, and so I don't know exactly what they did, but whatever they did worked. Now, they did have the connection. I think the keyboard player is the guy we're working with. I think the keyboard player for Alabama Shakes is the guy who's kind of behind putting the record out. And so there were some connections, obviously, there already. But yeah, I mean, that band's just, blown up, and yet I think most people haven't heard of them.
So what band?
St. Paul and the Broken Bones, but we've probably made, I'm going to say, 20,000 records for them already.
Yeah, I would imagine. Yeah, I think it was Alabama Shakes. I think that got them a slide at Bonnaroo
Might
or
be, yeah.
something like
Yeah.
that, and somebody saw them, and then that's really what it takes.
Well, we need a Cleveland pitchfork too, I guess, maybe. That's
Well,
what
we
did.
do need that.
Yeah.
Josh is talking about doing something,
Yeah.
some kind of blog.
Yeah, it's too bad. I mean, I don't really. I know a couple people there, but I don't really know alternative press that well. But it's almost as if they're here, but they're not here in a way. And I know they're doing that.
Well, their target audience is completely not within the realm of this room.
Yeah, right.
And
Yeah,
that's-
they're sort of the the post teeny bopper
It's
crowd.
very
kinda.
young.
Yeah.
My friend Jason Pettigrew, actually my best friend, is the editor-in-chief. And he's just like, he's 55.
Yeah.
He knows the artists, but he's kind of out of touch with the demographic. The
Yeah.
demographic is age-wise low.
Yeah, and to their credit, they're one of the few surviving print, magazines left in this segment of the business. So, and I know they're doing the thing at the Rock. Was at the Rock Hall last year? That
They're
was pretty
doing-
successful. I
they're
think
doing
their
it.
award
Their music
ceremony or
awards?
whatever.
Inside this year, and I
Yeah.
think it's the end of July. So they're talking about having the Beachland pick up
Hmm.
a show,
A show or
because
something.
if somebody comes in to do this private party and they do a public show,
Yeah.
it'll be more reasonable for everybody. But they're doing a lot of coordinating with that, which is great. To have that. I mean, even though it's not, all of our genre, they are sort of educating kids to the older, hardcore stuff that, they do keep writing about. Jason keeps hammering
Oh, I
some of
know.
this stuff that, goes back 15 or 20 years. But